Welcome to the Sales Acceleration Show. My name is Michael Humblet, founder of Pragmatic, and in this show we will discuss the real questions how to accelerate your business and basically make more money on sales and marketing. And today one of the questions I've always been asking, so I invited a guest, Saar, is all about PR. So Saar, before we ask you the tough questions, tell us what you do.
I'm Saar Dietvorst. I'm the founder of ContentCats, and we are a strategic PR agency. PR for us is the use of the media and the public opinion to help companies achieve their KPIs. And we do that, we focus on media relations, on strategic storytelling, and also on lobbying. We call it stakeholder management. So voilà.
So one of the questions that always gets to me is when I was helping a lot of these startups and scale-ups, I actually never thought about PR, never even thought about it, because PR was expensive, right? So let me ask you the question, is it expensive? And two, what happens if I do not do it? Why should I do it?
Well, it's normal as a scale-up that it's not your first goal, of course. You're busy with your product, you're developing the solution that you want to bring on the market, so it's normal that that's the first focus. On the other hand, at a certain moment when you go into the market, you bring your product on the market, of course you want people to know about this product. That doesn't mean you have to do it immediately when you come on the market, but after a certain period of test period maybe, it's a good idea to let people know that you exist.
But when I think PR, I always think of these press releases. These, I mean, it might be me, it might be wrong. It's this paper, and then you have this text that I really wonder, being very blunt, do people actually read it? Because it's tough language, right? But that's probably only aimed at the press. Sorry, I'm wrecking the whole studio. It's probably only aimed at journalists, or what's the methodology behind? Why does this look so weird?
Of course, whatever we put in a press release, or it's really well thought of. Everything we say has a meaning. We know why we say it, and we also build in call to actions. So a press release, of course, it's just a document. On the other hand, if you want to inform or tell a journalist about your business, they will tell you, well, put it on mail and I'll take a look at it. So that's your email in a way. You need to tell them.
And is it written in a way that they could copy-paste? Because that would be the easiest route to market.
Yeah, it's the easiest way because, journalists, the editorial offices are not very extended anymore. Let's say that about 5 people have to make a newspaper every day. They have to fill that newspaper every day. So the better you help them with a good text, a clear text that explains your business really well, that gets more into depth, gives the details, the better you help a journalist make a story. And you also can direct your messaging, because of course you can tell a story by phone on a journal or to a journalist, but you're never sure that he picks up the right things or that he understands everything well enough. And often we work for technical companies or maybe hardware or software companies, tech companies. Engineers. And it's not always easy to understand what they really do, or it's not always easy for them to explain what they really do.
So you help a lot on the storytelling and value prop.
Absolutely,
actually.
And everything, and the moment that you come into the media, it has an enormous impact, and you want the right impact. You don't want people to come and congratulate you and say, okay, I saw your face in the newspaper. You want people to do something, and that's our aim as a.
In essence, know you or probably buy. I'm sorry? So what's the aim? Is it to know you, to buy?
In my opinion, it's credibility. It's very important. Being in the news gives you credibility. Of course, you cannot connect all this from social media. It's important to be on social media. Also, the news sites or newspapers also have news sites, and they pull in a lot of their readers via social media, so you cannot disconnect it. But when you are in the news or in a newspaper, it has an enormous impact that you will not get as quick with social media.
Probably because it's still paper and it's touchable and
Yeah, and a lot of people read the news every day. And it's of course you can say a lot about yourself on social media, but when it's in the news, people believe you.
Yeah.
And that's very important.
Credible source.
Credibility, authority, also for hiring can be very important because the people who hear about you will want to work for you also.
So if I want to start with PR and I'm looking at it, or even not, what are the things I need to do? What would be your advice? Before they come to you, for instance, say, okay, before you talk to us, let's say like that. What are the things they could do? And then say, okay, when do you need an agency? Because it's always tough for them. Sometimes they ask me the question, say, Michael, can we do this ourselves? Do I need an agency? And well, let me ask you the question. What can they do themselves? And where do you think an agency brings a lot of value?
So what they can do for themselves is follow the media, be informed. Also read the newspaper and know the journalists that write about your industry. So whenever you read an article, write down who is the journalist and put it in an Excel or in your CRM or whatever. But start building your own press list in a way.
That's good, because one of the classics was you go to Twitter, you look for all the newspapers, then you look for all the journalists because they're all on Twitter. That's a very easy one.
Start following
Make
them.
a list, follow, and hope they follow you back, which is rather tough.
But just you can start with following them. That's one thing you can do. Very important also if you want to reach out to press is choose the best timing. Timing when it comes to sending out the press release. Don't do it in the afternoon because then a journalist has to bring in his piece at the newspaper, so it's not the best timing. So do it in the morning. Then they still can because news has to be the news of the day.
Exciting.
Tomorrow it's not news anymore. So if you send out the press release, do it in the morning.
Do you get one shot at the press release, by the way?
I'm sorry?
You get one shot? So when you do a press release and imagine you think, chula. You can't do a second one.
No, that's true. So you have to choose the right, it's also about timing. You can only launch once, let's say. If you give one journalist a story, you cannot give the next week, tell the same story to other journalists or 2 weeks after, because they will, first thing they do is they Google and they see, oh, but you were in that newspaper 2 weeks ago.
So you're talking now about exclusivity. So is that when you do the press release, you release it to all at the same time, or do you really go with exclusivity, certain things?
Well, I'm not the biggest fan of exclusivity. I would say inform all press at the same moment. But what you can do is send your press release under embargo to your top journalist. Let's say I really want to be in that newspaper or on that newspaper. Inform them and say, okay, next week we're going to send out this press release. If you want, we can talk about it already. You can do an interview, but you can only publish as of that date. So you give them more time.
And they stick to that.
They stick to that, absolutely. They do that because if they don't, they burn themselves in a way. Next time you won't inform them anymore. So it's a gentleman's agreement, in fact. Most of them will respect that date, absolutely.
So why do I then need an agency? Because everything I hear, I'm thinking, maybe I don't know the journalist. I think I can come up with a structure. On mailing, is it a facilitator, or is it it's really impactful to bring it further?
Well, what we notice often is that companies don't always realize what the good stories are. They're so much into their business. Sometimes they think that's not important. It's normal. But what's normal or obvious for them is not always obvious for the public, for the bigger public. They also have data often that they're not aware of that are interesting for other people. And we help them dig those stories in a way. We also, sometimes companies don't really want to tell everything to press. That's normal. They don't want to give all their numbers or whatever. That's okay. It's
margins, never talk about margins, revenues, people.
On the other hand, journalists will ask those questions to them, and we help them to formulate the right answer in a way. But always, we always come back to their key messages. So it's important when you have a story to tell that you have a few key messages, and those are the things that you really want people to remember. So of course, there's a lot to tell about your company, but at a certain moment when you reach out to press, there's a certain thing that you want people to remember and to do. So you define the agenda also.
Yeah. I remember a use case from something you guys did was I was talking to this company, Sweeprite, was helping them with their sales strategy and the storyline and all that. And then they said, okay, we're going to launch the product. It was already live, but they would do a push. So they came to you and you did the news story. And I was actually pretty impressed with the impact of that. And it's actually the first time, this is about 6 months ago, I realized that I thought, I always think I can do all this stuff on my own and write and do. And I realized, damn, this might actually work if I use an agency for this.
Yeah.
Right? So what's the process? So if I let's take this at a more, let's say, strategic level. I want to work with an agency. What do you do? How does it work? What can I expect?
Yeah. Well, what we dive into your business. That's what we do. And depending, when it's a large company, we often do a workshop. But sometimes we also work with an intake document. I mean, we need input from a company to work with, of course. We need to know your business really well. That requires an amount of trust also. Sometimes you tell us things that you're not going to communicate to other people, but we need to know if there are things that you don't really want to say or not really want to bring into press.
So you set the borders actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need to know how we can deal with that and how we're going to solve that. So people come to us, we dive into your business, we do a workshop, we ask a lot of questions on your company. The vision, of course, what's your vision, what do you want to reach really, but also which are your solutions, what are the topics that you can claim as a company. I mean, we go really deep.
When you say topics you can claim, you're already thinking SEO, or that's a step too far? Because
then
we get to the...
we're not talking about SEO.
Okay, because then we get to the marketing side. And
that's another thing.
Yeah.
We more talk about, let's say that you're a company working in the sharing economy. Of course, you have a solution. We want to talk about that solution. We want to let people know your solution. But we also want to address maybe the topic sharing economy, because of course it's a relatively new
They're experts, they probably have data.
Yeah, and you need to maybe governments are not always following yet, you know, or legislation is not always there yet. Also because, you know, a lot of those politicians or trade unions, they give keynotes and they can also tell your story to their public. Yeah. So it's not only
proof that whatever they're saying is valid.
Yeah, they will also want to know what's going on in the world of, in my example, sharing economy. So if they have good examples of companies who work in that field and who do it really well, they can spread your message also. So they're your ambassador in a way.
So you do the workshop, try to figure out what the borders are, you try to figure out what's the real solution, potentially explain the market. I mean, I can imagine sharing economy is one. If I go to VR, kind of an AI space, in a real tech space, you need to explain what's the market size, why would you need it potentially, and then what then? Yeah,
then we set up a communication plan, a PR plan.
Okay, so you make a PR plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Because PR is it's not a one shot. PR is something that you have to build up. You build up relationships with journalists, with your ambassadors, and that's not something you do in one time, because in a few months they will have forgotten you. So it's important in PR that you reach out on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be 2 times a month. 1 time every quarter is good enough, but on a regular basis, that's important. So we set up a PR plan with a messaging. We make sure the messaging is consistent also in all of your communication. You cannot tell one story to the press and another one on your social media.
When you look at startups, they tend to pivot the whole time, so you probably have to be very careful there.
So we set up the messaging really, and of course that messaging is going to alter in time. It's not always going to be the same, but at a certain moment you have a certain goal as a company. You want to reach a certain level, or that next level. And depending on your needs, we will formulate the key messages and make them consistent in all of your communication. We will also set up the PR actions. What are we going to do and how are we going to do this? Of course, the launch of a product, it's rather easy because it's a new product. Journalists will listen to you because you have something new to tell, of course. The challenge is to get attention again in a few months. What are you going to reach out or what are you going to tell then?
And as a delivery, because now I'm thinking like an executive and I'm thinking, okay, so what do I get? you get the workshop, you get the plan, and then you basically do the writing and the material. So you build like a little booklet, let's say. I mean, the thing of Sweetbright was like 5-6 pages, really, really nicely explained.
So you really know what to expect, of course. In this quarter, this is the action that we are going to do. That quarter, that's the action we're going to do. But of course, there are also a lot of ad hoc actions. You know, when there's a certain when on How to Keep, let's say, they're maybe talking about electric cars. Of course, when you're working into that business, you should react right away. You cannot wait until the next month. So we also keep an eye on the media all the time, in fact, and we try to buzz your company.
So you're paid to read the newspaper?
Yes. Yes, we're paid to do that and
like,
to connect.
You can explain it like that to the kids. It's always funny when you have to explain what you do to kids. My kids once thought, because I was flying so much, that I was a pilot. Said, no, that is something else, right?
Indeed, but that's also my personal, interest. I really want to know what's going on in the world, and I also know what journalists want to hear. In fact, I wanted to become a journalist. That was the initial idea. It turned out differently, and I'm very happy with what I do now. But that's our strength, I think, as a company, that we really understand what they need and what they want. We try to translate your business as a company to a bigger public. And of course, the journalists, they don't want to tell your business story. That's not what they want to tell. They really want to tell their public something interesting. Yeah. And that's a translation that we make.
So don't do the direct approach of trying to sell your stuff straight away. But
No, don't.
Put it in a story.
They really don't want to have the feeling that you use them for your commercial goals or whatever. You have to try to pull it open. And of course you can say then why should I do this? Because I really want to talk about my business. That's the only thing I want to talk about. On the other hand, if you can talk about your business in general, you will be seen as an authority in what you do. And people will always make the connection to your business. Also, journalists will find you. They will know, okay, I need info on, let's say, electric cars or on sharing economy.
And they'll ask you,
and they will call
do you have something?
So that's
actually, you see a very good effect on the radio when they start talking. They always phone the same guy on a topic. You just need to be the guy or the girl.
List. You need to be on their list.
I never thought about that one. I should scale up. Now, what we do near the end of our conversation, I always have my big black book. It's literally black with the tough questions. So I ask all my guests these questions. So especially when you just told me, they said, look, I'm into the newspapers, I need the media, I need to read all of that. So how do you focus? How do you bring focus to your day? Because I can imagine it's constant flood of news.
Well, of course, we bring our projects. We know very well what we need to do. There's a lot of things to do, indeed. But we have a management system, in a way, with all of our projects. We have a team meeting once every, not every day, but a couple of times a week, in which we set priorities, and often it's very, it's about timing. We work in PR, in media. It's all about timing. So if we sometimes we can be busy on a project, but then something has been on the news, which can be interesting for one of our other customers. Then that gets priority.
So how do you then say no? That's always a tough one.
How I say no to?
So this can be. Because actually the hardest question always is, customer phones you says, I want to do this. And you want to say no. Because various reasons. I mean, sometimes you just don't like them. Secondly, they're asking you questions you don't do. I mean, it's a tough one. I experience it every day. And maybe it's because I'm a sales guy, I tend to say yes on everything, which is a real problem. Right?
Well, for us, and for me, trust is really important. If I feel there's no trust, then it's going to be hard to work for a company, because we need to know.
But it's tough to say, hey, I don't trust you, so we're not going to work together.
That's true, but you feel it rather quick. We feel it rather quick. They need to open up to us. And if they can't do that, yeah, then it's hard for us to help them. Then we can't help them.
And you basically tell them, look, this is not going to work.
Yeah, I kind of do in a way. And also, what we also don't do is that they come to us and say, okay, we have a press release. Can you send it out to your press contacts?
Yeah, no.
I'm not interested in that.
There is no added value.
No, and also I don't feel responsible for the result.
No,
but everything we do, we believe it will have an impact. And if I can put myself behind that, I won't do it.
Yeah. So where do you get inspired then? Where do you get the energy from?
Inner energy from the world. It's a very open answer maybe, but on the other hand, let's say those teenagers who come on the streets for climate, that's very inspiring to me.
Yeah.
The whole migrant debate, the whole energy debate, that type of discussions, I find it really interesting, and it's society in a way.
Yeah.
Social things, yeah.
So, what's during your career the biggest mistake you've made? And you say, I'm never going to do that again. I should do it differently.
Okay, my whole career, I would say.
Don't go back to teenager, right? Yeah.
No. But what I think is, so when I ended my studies, I started a temporary job in HR, and the manager of that company that I assisted, she was pregnant. She had to go for a couple of months, and they asked me to replace her for that time. So I ended up being 6 years in that company. So and it was not really because like I told you before, I wanted to become a journalist. That was the idea, and I wouldn't do that anymore. I would really wait until I know this is really what I want to become. Yeah. This is what I want to start doing, and wait until I get a job in that field.
Yeah.
Now I spent I was 6 or 8 years even an HR manager. I learned a lot from that, and it's not something I really regret, because on the other hand, I was in a company. I know what it is to work in a company. It helps me until today. On the other hand, at a certain moment, I made the change to communication and PR.
Yeah.
And it was a really very well.
It didn't feel like work anymore.
Yeah, that's my passion.
Yeah,
that's what I really love doing.
I fully agree.
What I do today doesn't feel like working.
Is this statement like you gotta love the process? That's because it's the process that makes you happy, and if that's not the case, you just will be unhappy. You need to do something else.
And that's what I also advise my son. Or now already, if you want to do something, really go for that. You know? Don't let yourself be distracted by other things.
Yeah, but my kids are now asking to become a YouTube star on Fortnite, which is going to be an intriguing one. But
well, if that's what they want to become,
here to do to do this kind of video setup. Okay, thanks a lot for that. I think it was a great chat.
You're welcome.
And if you want to know a lot more, where can we find more information about you?
Well, you can drop me an email, saar@contentcats.be, but of course you can also go to our website. You can find me on Twitter, on LinkedIn.
So we send all the press releases to you now.
No, we'll make the press releases for you.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks for watching the show, and if you like what you've seen, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for a lot more information coming, and Saar, thanks for being a guest in the show.
You're welcome.
Thank you.